Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even going to make the jokes that are coming to mind because I know YouTube will punish them. We don't have a place for a sense of humor. Even though Mel Brooks had one, and in the producers, he made some jokes about the particular person in question. I'm even going to let the 8-minute mark go before I even say the topic of this stream. Highly controversial, bound to piss off probably more people than I want to. I had agreed to talk about Trump and Kamalla from the poll of last week, and all of these incredible, crazy things are going on. I probably won't give it all justice, but I'm gonna give it the good old college try. Here in my avatar, you see Charlie Chaplin playing a comedic, caricatured version of the person in question. Great movie called The Great Dictator. Didn't do well at the time, but I have found inspiration from the ending of the movie. Let's say hello to the people in the chat. Awoo! Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, I wish you luck with the songs that you're producing and with your personal journey. I hope that you are blessed, whatever happens. I know I, too, am about to turn a page and enter a new chapter. And I'm both excited, gratified, and frightened all at the same time. John Ponterero, howdy, howdy. Thank you so much for your love, your prayers, your support, all the many things that you share with me. I will hopefully get to as many of them as I can. I'm going to try to get all this done before Netters Network, which I believe will be streaming in about a little less than 3 hours. Hopefully I can get it all done by then. And hopefully, if I take all that time, hopefully it's all worth your time. Hello, Resolute Germ. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on board here. Hopefully something I say will resonate. Hopefully some of it's entertaining. Hopefully none of it pisses you off. If it does, I promise that's not my intent. LDG, free the net. Thank you for coming on. I hope that you are doing well. I look forward to the app, to the page that hopefully will free us from the shackles of the big tech tyrants. Resolute Germ says that LDG is 12 hours off a morning, but then I think LDG is just about working 24/7. Can't blame him if he's got his hours mixed up. Sean Ponterero is happy to be here. People are saying hello to each other. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I've killed about half of the 8-minute mark saying hello to people and listening to rock music. Unburdened by what has been. And you know what? I'm not even going to pursue that one. I've got enough stuff here to piss everybody off. So let's dive in. I've debated very much how I want to cover this one. I'm going to start because I want to avoid saying the name of the person in question till the 8-minute mark. So I'm going to start with some of the things that I've seen on Twitter. I usually end my stream with that, and I'm basically going to be coming back to it throughout the stream. Some of you may know Kamala Harris had declared that someone in Trump's previous staff had said that he was a fascist and praised the unspeakable person. And so now you've got memes going all over the place, at least on Twitter. I noticed that the other streams, other places are much more one-sided, but on Twitter, you have got people lobbing shells at each other saying, no, Trump isn't the mustache man. Kamala is the mustache man. And of course, the Dems firing right back with, see, we've always known he was the mustache man. This proves it. You're a terrible person. You're a fascist. You're a zany if you voted for him. I used to wonder about that. We're going to analyze all of that. We'll see where we end up. Maybe at the end, we'll decide that he is a fascist. Or maybe we won't. I've got my bias, so we'll see where it all ends up. I'm not going to read this one. You can read it for yourself. It's biased. It obviously is essentially someone trying to say that no, he's not, in fact, the mustache man. But I do want to actually start with the Young Turks quote from his Twitter feed. I have never seen both sides of an election this confident. One of them is very wrong. Both sides are in their own bubble and don't realize there is a reality outside of those bubbles. So whoever loses is going to be absolutely shocked. I know a friend of mine had sent a thing with somebody talking about Trump and making fun of him, and that's okay. We've got to be able to laugh at ourselves. I responded just with a platonic, a platitude of, you're a good person, spiffy, love you. And I mean it. I really do. But he also left me a message that somebody's going to win in a landslide. And it may be so. I have no idea. I have no idea. Because I've noticed that the right has polls that have Trump winning in a landslide, and the Dems have polls having Kamala winning in a landslide. Obviously, both can't be true. Hello, Jim's Landscape, Commodore Productions. Howdy, howdy. Thank you for coming on this most controversial of topics. I will try to do it justice. I'm past the 8-minute mark, so I'm going to speak it out loud. The topic is essentially Kamala has come out and said that one of Trump's staffers has called him a fascist. Basically one of his staffers, one of his generals from 4 years ago has called him not a communist, but a lover of Hitler. Basically, the quote has been running around that he wished he had generals that were like the Germans, they were more loyal. We're going to analyze that. Resolute Germ, no one on the left actually believes the Ugandan giant is going to win in a fair election. Out here, they are openly counting on rigging the vote. And while I have my own opinion on that, I'm not going to share it here because I don't want to muddy the waters. But let's just say that I am closer to your idea on that than I was 4 years ago, and we'll leave it at that. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Hey, Rommel was a genius for a general, and he was. He was. I'm still not exactly sure exactly what Trump did say 4 years ago, but here's the blunt truth. Yes, we won the war. Yes, we ended up having better something, whether it was generals, whether it was boots on the ground, whether it's just the American can-do attitude, whatever it was, we We won the war. But if what you're trying to say, if what one is trying to say is that you wish that we had generals that had some of the wiliness and the capacity of Rommel, well, I hate to say this, it's going to shock some of you, but that's legitimate to say. I don't want Rommel's politics in any of our generals, but his talent, why not? Respectful criticism is invited. Depends that. Good evening. Thank you for coming on here. I'm hoping that I can do this topic justice. I don't know yet if I can. Everyone saying hello to each other. Gorilla's random thoughts is censored again. I'm so sorry. I hate that. I really do hate that. And Connie Cleary, the faithful bird woman of YouTube. Welcome aboard. Here I am putting my foot in my mouth yet again and hail back, which may not be a safe thing to say with this topic. So let me stop sharing this. This isn't what you probably think. You probably may have seen the woman in the bikini. It's not anything quite like that, but we will get there. While I'm not going back to being a centrist, I am going to at least establish that I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid by sharing a story that I haven't debunked yet. So we'll just decide what we think about it as we go along. People saying chirp, chirp. And yes, by all means, please check out Connie Cleary's channel. Look at those birds, listen to that music, and check out Gorilla's Random Thoughts. He's got some great live streams, some great talks. Jim's Landscape, also, he makes fan films. They are wonderful. Check them out. Adolf, now cancel my ass. Okay. All right. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm going to end up pissing somebody off, but that, again, is not the intent. So here is the statement. I'm hoping that this will work on Twitter because I was too lazy to try to look it up on YouTube, which may end up being a mistake because sometimes these things don't play. Please let me know if you can hear the audio. Sometimes I notice that Twitter doesn't always have the
that is loyal to the United States. Out. Let's listen. So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within.
All right, let me pause it so that YouTube doesn't get all upset, and let's look at the chat and maybe do a little bit of commentary here. Hey, Jim's Landscape did a live stream today. That's awesome. Okay, the sound is good. Thank you for letting me know. You won't lose anyone. I say way more offensive stuff on my Walton's reviews. Thank you very much. Had a hailstorm come through. I am so sorry, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Tim, I don't think I think you're equivocating too much. I don't know which side you're on. And maybe I am misinterpreting you, but liar, liar, liar. Pants on fire. Let me interject this. I know at least some of you are in a similar boat, although some of you probably are just more strong-hearted than I am, and maybe you didn't have this difficulty, but one of the problems I've had since January 6th is they never quite, but they had about half convinced me that it was true. That in fact Trump was a fascist, that he was a lover of Hitler, that he was building up this weird secret army and he was going to take us all out. And my views on that have changed. I know that my liberal friends will be very upset to hear that. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking in your heart, you know. And I don't mean to mock you when I say this. I'm just trying to say what I believe likely is your thought. You know, Curtis, that this man is a neo-Nazi. This man is trying to start a totalitarian regime. And I would suggest that likely you think that because you haven't listened closely enough to what I've been trying to say. But I'm fairly certain that is what is in your heart. And I will also accede that if that really was what was in my heart, then by all means, you should be appalled. You should turn your back on me. You should write me out of all of your friendships and dreams. If I really am so horrible and evil, or so stupid and incompetent that I'm going to vote for a neo-Nazi, then you're right to feel that way about me. Let's see what we think by the end of it. Deep Inzak, remember, Marge Schont, former owner of Cincinnati Reds, cite that 1940s German group for building great roads. Back in the day, they crucified her on this back in the day. I don't remember that. I really don't. That's interesting. Tim, you're getting ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me. But let's just say that I don't disagree with you, and we'll leave it at that. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, a whole whopping 30-second bee-sized hail. Never seen that in October. Interesting. All right, everybody saying hello to each other. Let's go back to what Kamalla's saying.
Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify in his mind as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist.
All right, let's pause it again. Let's see what people are saying. Tim remembers that. Okay, I wish I did. I'm so sorry for my ignorance here. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, they built the Autobahn, which is the blueprint for our interstate system. Yeah, and I know I'm treading on dangerous ground here, but I'm going to say it and hope that I don't get taken down, because I want to unequivocally state Nazism is bad. Hitler was bad. The right side won World War II. I know that I'm not saying anything that anyone in this chat disagrees with in that. Where I do want to go with this, the German people were beaten down to the ground in World War I. And Hitler came along with a narrative with all of this talk about how great the German people were, how wonderful the German people were. I have read parts of Mein Kampf, which I unequivocally disagree with the book as a whole. But when you read the inspiring things that he says about the German people, if you just were silly enough to take out all of the racism, it would be an inspiring book. Sadly, and I know someone's going to take me out of context, Curtis said that Mein Kampf is an inspiring book. Unfortunately, he then has to throw in all the anti-Semitism and all the illogical hate. I think it was legitimate to say that the Germans were a wonderful people. They were a strong and proud people. But then trying to throw all of the wrongs that were going on onto the Jews and saying that all the Jews needed to die, and that's the work of a sick mind. Tim, like I've said for a lot of things, why not? Why now? Why not then? Yeah, no, agreed. 100% agreed. She is the reason I think we should repeal the 19th Amendment. I'm not going to go there, but I think I understand how you feel. Leave it at that. Her source is a guy Trump fired. Yes, that is correct. This must be the only time she would say that about what Germany did, since she is, I think, doesn't like them, sort of. And I get it. I get it. Look, I'm half German. So I've spent most of my life basically being told that I should be ashamed and I should be sad and I should pay for basically stuff that my family had nothing to do with, because we were already in the United States and had been for 300 years. So we had literally nothing to do with any of the things that were going on over there. All we did was send some of our boys out there to die to help America. And the ones that stayed home grew wheat and fed our people and our armies. So, yeah, sorry. I'm not willing to feel shame for being half German. That doesn't mean that we should become super proud. That doesn't mean we should try to lord it over everyone else. It doesn't mean other races need to go away. But I think it's time to end this whole, it's the same thing in the other direction. We've got to stop pinning all the wrongs on one race. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Just remember, when they say anonymous sources, it's the homeless guy out back digging through the dumpster. Oh, yeah, Tim, she doesn't like Israel. I have heard that. I don't know the truth of that, but I have heard that. I try to steer clear of Israel, not so much because I do have my views on it, but they're better informed people who can tell you a lot more about that stuff than I can. So I let them do it. Let's finish this up, see what she says.
Who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there, and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you.
All right. So what do you guys think about that? Resla Germ says she really hates Israel mainly because they won't do what she says. Well, yeah, fair enough. Likely I should wait instead of reading it now, but I in my unfair and biased fashion, I got this from Keith Kellogg's
Let's listen. So yesterday we learned
Twitter
that Donald Trump's
feed.
former chief of staff,
So
John Kelly, a retired
Keith
four-star
Kellogg, Vice
general.
President Harris is a fraud. I was in the White House at a senior level much longer than General Kelly. He is complicit in this fraud and has lied to the American people. He lies, as well as John Bolton's, are a disservice to the nation at this critical time. So are the VPs. So who do we believe? Do we believe her and General what's his name? What was his name? John Kelly. Or do we believe Keith Kellogg? And I hate to say it, but it comes down simply to that. And that's the sad thing. How do we evaluate the truth? How do we decide which one of these is a liar and a not great person, and one of these people is telling the truth? How do we evaluate that? Dee Penzak, okay, can she do that again, this time without the teleprompter? Yeah, I thought about talking about that. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, with what that talk, I think I will submit all 7 of the mail-in ballots I got for Trump. But here's the deal, and here's what we have to deal with. All of us say, and I think all of us want for there to be some kind of healing. I think all of us want there to be some kind of reaching across the divide. How can we do that when the opposition, whoever that is Hitler? I kind of thought about scrolling through it, but it changed so fast, so much, that I decided that by the time I did this stream, it would be so changed I wouldn't even know what I was looking at. But there was so much vitriol on both sides. You know, you had people on the right making little things of Kamalla with a mustache, and they had put recordings of Hitler's voice over it. And then, of course, you have people on the left gloating and saying, see, we've known it all along. We've said it 4 years ago. We said it 8 years ago. This is the proof. This is where you guys are just bad. And I used to keep my mouth shut about it because I was scared shitless that I was the one that was wrong. That the things that I had believed and seen before 2020 was mistaken, that the narrative of January 6th was all true. And if you look at what you are shown, I hate to say it, but we can't really blame our liberal friends for believing it, because that's really just about all you are shown. And if you go and look at another source, it's just, you're just told, well, that's all lies. That's all untrue. Sky News Australia is owned by Rupert Murdoch. You can't believe that. Fox News is a bunch of lies, and honestly, a lot of it is. So, Resolute Germ, I'd believe Putin and the devil before I trusted anything this woman said. I won't go that far, but yeah, we all have this heated upset, because here's what maybe my liberal friends don't understand. 40% of the people voted for this man. Nearly half. You are honestly telling me that you honestly believe that 40 to 50% of this nation are either a bunch of neo-Nazis or people who are just so stupid that they will vote for a neo-Nazi just because of, I don't know, whatever it is that we're supposed to be. All right, let's keep exploring that a little bit. I also wanted to share that some of these other comments. Blair White, I don't even know who that is, but if you're confused why Trump appears to be winning, perhaps consider that Kamala's "I'm not Trump" and "Trump is Hitler" are not valid responses to "I can't afford food" and "illegal aliens are seizing my apartment building." I thought I had put one of these other things down. Maybe I didn't. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing because maybe it's not quite what I thought I had. Depenzac healing, like with more money in our wallet and our bank accounts, a bit more for impulse buying, that would honestly probably help. What is it that I wanted to share? Okay. Going to share this. And then I'm going to go back to the general and what he said. All right. As some of you know, I'm a big fan of the Weinsteins. I don't really know how they're related, but I know that they are, whether they're brothers, cousins, whatever. This is Eric Weinstein. He's the one that hasn't decided to vote for Trump yet. And whether he does or not, I love the guy. I love that he's tried to figure this stuff out. And I just love intellectual honesty because there's so much dishonesty out there. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get it to open now. Let me explain how Democrats lose voters to the Republicans. You got to remember, this is a lifelong Democrat. This is a lifelong liberal. This is probably someone who I would say is 60% likely to either not vote at all or not vote for Trump at any rate. Let me explain. When someone tells you their mother, daughter, wife, child, or friend was assaulted, mugged, raped, or murdered by a career criminal or illegal alien, it is considered polite not to begin your next sentence with, well, I definitely don't condone what happened to your loved one, but, or no offense, but the term is now undocumented as illegal makes you sound, or I hear you, but you have to consider it from the other side, or you sound like you have a lot of rage you need to work through. Or on the other hand, maybe the problem is systematic and the criminal justice system isn't working to provide better opinions. Or do you know that the incarceration rate in the U.S. is actually, I just don't get this. I don't have a mental model to wrap my head around this. And you got to understand, if what we're talking about is an intellectual debate, you're in an academic setting, you're not talking about lost loved ones, every single one of those phrases is absolutely appropriate and correct and cool. When someone is telling you they lost someone, my suggestion is you shut the hell up and listen. And even if they are wrong politically, be grieved with them that they lost somebody. Don't have to necessarily attack the immigrants. You don't necessarily have to say anything negative about them. Just be sorry for the loss. Where did we get to the point where we're no longer able to do that? Resolute germ. You can blame them for ignoring basic common sense. If you trust them, you are willfully complicit at this point. And greetings, Enigma Severus. Howdy, howdy. I am biting the bullet and I'm going to piss everybody off today, but I don't really mean to. It's just probably where it's going to go. Enigma Severus. Good thing I'm not around those type of people, because honestly, I told a student today after he's getting berated by another student, you brought this on yourself. You chose against my advice. Yeah, but you weren't saying that in the context of that person had lost somebody. So it was totally appropriate to do that. Moira Kitty, meow, meow. This is someone who's willing to take on the challenges and say what she thinks. By all means, please check her channel out. I think she's going to do a stream later today. I don't know if I'll be done by then, but if I am, please feel free. Go over there and support her channel. She's a wonderful person. She's feisty. And there may be times when you're like, oh, wait, you said that? But she's a wonderful person. She's got a heart as big as Dallas. So let's see. I promise I did put some thought into this. Let's see. What do I want to do next? I think this is what I want to do next. All right. This is one of the reasons why I'm trying to suggest that we do at least should demonstrate some grace to our liberal friends. Everybody's saying hello and that they love each other. Wonderful. Whether there was love and peace in January 6th or not, there is love in this community. I just love you people. Thank you very much. This is what you're going to get. So I'll be honest. At this point, I'm mostly trying to debunk the things that are being told, partly because I've learned that a preponderance of the things being told are lies. And so it's becoming my gut reaction. I hear something from the left, I assume it's a lie, just as they do with us. They hear something from the right, they hear something from Trump, they assume it's a lie. Mark Malinoff, Kapla, our leaders have failed us. We need to sweep away the High Council and put a new one in its place. Commander Kern, Star Trek: The Next Generation Redemption. You know, I'm just thinking of the Klingon from Prelude to Axanar. We need that guy. We need that Klingon to be our head. We could have defeated the Federation. Pops, howdy. I hope you're doing well. I hope that I don't end up saying anything that pisses you off. I promise that's not my intent. And I hope you enjoy whatever you hear. And some of it, hopefully, you find informative. More Kitty. January 6th couldn't have any peace because of the FBI. I'm going to leave that there without comment. I want you to do your own thinking, but please do think about that statement. January 6th could have no peace because of the FBI. What do you think about that statement? Gorilla's Random Thoughts by Grace, hear me. Go screw yourself. No, I understand. Look, I get how you feel. I do. One of the reasons I'm on this journey is I was hardcore right wing before 2020. Okay. And I'm actually glad that some of that stuff happened, because I think I would have gone down a very bad and horrible and hateful path. I might not have become a neo-Nazi, but I could have become very much the person I don't want to be if that hadn't challenged my worldview. Now, here's my question, really to both sides. But are you willing to have your worldview challenged? Are you willing to actually listen to someone with a different perspective? I'm not saying we have to adopt it, but we have to be able to listen to each other, or otherwise there is no peace. The FBI, assuming that they did inspire the violence that was going on, working under that assumption, they win if we're not able to find a way across to each other. I'm sharing this because I was actually trying to debunk it. This is what you get. I had to go to Brave in order to find something to debunk it. Fox General Keith Ballard denounced Hitler lie. Here we have MSNBC reporting it, that I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. Trump admired dictators like Hitler. What John Kelly said about Trump's praise of Hitler. Harris criticizes Trump over Hitler's generals. On and on and on. Now, to be fair, The Hill is sometimes at least moderately centrist. And just for grins and giggles, let's maybe listen to a few minutes of what they say. See what they have to say. Let me know if that's too loud or what have you.
Trump's longest-serving chief of staff, John Kelly, is making headlines for calling his former boss a fascist and suggesting that he praised Adolf Hitler. Let's watch.
But certainly, the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian. Admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
Reacting on X, former Trump White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews tweeted, quote, John Kelly, Trump's longest-serving chief of staff, was handpicked for the role. As a decorated retired general and Gold Star father, he is a good, honourable man. If he says Trump praised Hitler, met the definition of a fascist, and would govern like a dictator if allowed, we should believe him.
All right, that's what one person says. Well, let's see what y'all are saying. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Can't listen to someone who won't listen to me and resorts to insults. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of where I've gotten. I didn't get a lot of, I'm going to be fair, I didn't get a lot of insults from my liberal friends, but I got kind of a lot of, you're the problem for having voted for him. And I got a lot of dismissiveness. Like I would try to share something and we're not going to listen to it. And I've gotten where you've gotten, Gorillas. I really don't want to hear it anymore unless you're listening to some of my stuff too. Pops is a more libertarian type. God bless you. It's interesting seeing 2024 play out like a reality show that everyone dismisses as ridiculous. Kelly and Milley are radical anti-Trumpers, and Kelly had some corruption ties to the immigration crisis. Interesting. Let's listen to a little more of The Hill.
MSNBC's Morning Joe also expressed outrage over the things outlined by Kelly. Let's take a look.
So this is more than an election to see who the next president is. This is an election to determine the future fate of what form of government we have and if Madisonian democracy survives.
Speaking of Morning Joe, the former acting director of U.S. National Intelligence, Richard Grenell, tweeted this morning, quote, Comcast must step in and stop the dangerous rhetoric from Morning Joe. The New York Times, Mike, and every guest are saying that Donald Trump will use the military against his political opponents and saying he is absolutely Hitler. This is calling for someone to kill him. It's 2 weeks before an election, and the repeated emotional appeal that Trump must be stopped is calling for violence. So this is big news this morning. These comments by John Kelly, who was former White House chief of staff.
All right. Let's see what Gorillas is saying. A person in a Discord group called me a maggot because I asked for a full quote and from a source that is so obviously biased, aka The Daily Show. And that's so my friends were trying to be fair, or some of them were trying to be fair, and they recommended to me that I listen mainly and primarily to NPR. Now, I think maybe that would have been good advice 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, but I no longer think that that's the case. And I've talked about that on my channel. They believed the lie that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. They believed and reported the lie that Trump is a Russian asset. We've since established the Steele dossier, according to their sources, NPR, CNN, and Snopes, Steele dossier has been debunked. Well, no, it hasn't really. Then why are we even talking? If you don't believe your own sources, why are we even talking? Yeah, Gorilla, it's funny how often they source that show. Yeah, I think I might have something up here on The Daily Show. I'm going to stop having The Hill up here because I want to get to some other things, or at least, yeah, I'm going to get to some other things. Pops, I will say I don't expect the Democrats would turn into the neocons so quickly. Yeah, my friends will tell me that so many Republicans have embraced Kamala, but nearly all of them are Republicans that I have no respect for. And it doesn't matter how much I say, look at how many Democrats have espoused Trump. All I get is, well, they're people who have problems. I would highly suggest that you look up Stranahan, who was RFK's VP pick. Watch her stuff. Look at her Twitter feed. She is not a radical. She's not someone who's messed up. She's an incredible person who's just trying to get at the truth. That's all she's doing. And there were always the neocons, Pop. They just used to hide it better. Right on, right on. Mark Malnikoff, I'm really more concerned at this point at what happens after the election, regardless of who wins. We may get there if we end up with the time. I do want to lighten the mood just a little bit, at least for a while, because I don't want to be fanning the flames, but I do want to be unfair and promote my side. This is the Babylon Bee. One of the reasons why I actually like at least some of what Elon Musk has done is I pretty much resented that they were taken off of Twitter. Even if you don't agree with them, they should have had the right to make jokes. And if you really think that we're so stupid that we believe these things to be actual news, that is condescending and insulting to our intelligence. So this is, in fact, just a joke. Hopefully I'm not jarringly altering the mood. 9 ways Trump is exactly like Hitler. It's time to confront the reality that the media has been trying to warn you about for nearly a decade. Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler are exactly the same. If you still deny the blatantly obvious evidence, maybe you'll be swayed by cold, hard facts. The Babylon Bee has put together the following list of startling similarities between Trump and Hitler to help you see the light. Number 1, Mein Kampf is German for the art of the deal. Some people may try to tell you that that's not the correct translation, but that's just revisionist history. 2, both were called Hitler by their political opponents. Obviously not a coincidence. If you arrange the letters in Trump, eliminating the UMP and adding HILE, it spells Hitler. Things like this don't just happen by chance. Both briefly worked at McDonald's. Hitler reportedly loved serving up 9-piece chicken McNuggets. They have the exact same mustache, but Trump's is blonde, so you can't see it. Trust us. World War II and January 6th were basically the same. If you don't believe January 6th was that bad, you can subscribe to the Babylon Bee and watch a documentary that will prove it. I have not watched it. I know John Pontorero has and says that it is fabulously funny. Hitler was a painter, and Trump one time did pottery in a commercial. This is no accident. Both had cameos in major films, Trump in Home Alone 2, Hitler in Blitzkrieg of Poland, which are essentially the same. Hitler also got 2 scoops of ice cream when journalists only got 1, the true mark of a genocidal fascist. The Democrats have been saying for 8 years now that Trump is Hitler. We have foolishly failed to listen. We hope this list helps redeem ourselves. Probably doesn't, but that's okay. All right. So there's the Babylon Bee telling you straight. Reslet Germ, got to set up my own show. Take care, everyone. I absolutely have a wonderful stream. Thank you for showing up and leaving your comments. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Sashi, the man from the future. If Trump wins, I'm sure there'll be a new surge of memes. Oh, yeah. Which, honestly, if that's all that either of these sides were doing, I could probably live with it. It's just when the bullets start flying that I start having issues. And Lady Mist, I don't know if I said hello to you before or not. Hello, hello. Thank you for all the flowers and emojis. You are so sweet. So let's get back to the serious meat of the issue. Again, being a little bit unfair here. I'm going to share the one article that I had to go to Brave to find, because at least when I looked, I could not find it. I could not find anything on the first page or two of Google that would gainsay anything that she said. Every last article I looked up was, he is a fascist. He is a fascist. And this is why our liberal friends think this way. They're told it from every source. They're not even introduced with anything contrary, or if they are, they're just told, oh, that's insane. And they buy it. They believe it. And maybe we're the ones that are insane. Well, feel free to let me know, but be a little bit respectful, because I'm kind of getting feisty anymore. Ex-National Security Advisor Keith Kellogg, Senior Advisor Mercedes Schlapp, and former Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany exposed John Kelly's lies. Even Trump-hating Mark Esper admits he's never heard Trump praise Hitler. This is from the gatewaypundit.com. I don't know how reliable they are, but this is what I got. So, and it does line up with a lot of the things that I'm hearing from the right, at any rate, on Twitter. This is Chief of Staff John Kelly. This is, of course, Trump. Former Chief of Staff John Kelly has once again surfaced with baseless claims. I will say this article is obviously, it is in danger of being a right-wing version of what you're reading on the left. It doesn't pull any punches. It tells you exactly whose side they're on. But he's surfaced with baseless claims aimed at smearing President Donald Trump, just as left-wing operatives, including Kamalla Harris, scramble to weaponize Kelly's latest accusations. With only days before the election, Kelly allegations are clearly designed to harm Trump's campaign, but it's nothing more than a last-ditch effort from a disgruntled employee who has long held a vendetta against the former president. Kelly, who was fired by Trump, is now spreading an outlandish and debunked narrative about Trump allegedly praising Adolf Hitler during his time in office. These accusations are eerily reminiscent of the infamous suckers and losers smear, which, if any of you remember, we debunked that on this channel. Really, it was other channels that we relied on, but that's been debunked. It's a smear propagated by The Atlantic in 2020. I'm finding that a lot of stuff from The Atlantic is not great. Another baseless story designed to defame Trump without a shred of credible evidence. Even back then, over a dozen individuals, including close staffers, I assume that they were going to say denied it, but the state of journalism, we can't complete our sentences. Here we are again with Kelly rehashing discredited talking points. Kamala Harris wasted no time jumping on the fabricated narrative, calling on an emergency press conference to parrot Kelly's claims. She launched into a tirade accusing Trump of wanting generals like Adolf Hitler had, and implying that Trump seeks dictatorial power. Unlike Kelly's baseless claims, numerous prominent figures who work directly with Trump have spoken out, exposing Kelly's lies. Former National Security Advisor to Mike Pence, Keith Kellogg, slammed Kelly as complicit in fraud. Vice President Harris is a fraud. I was in the White House at a senior level much longer than General Kelly. We've already read that. Former White House Strategic Senior Advisor Mercedes Schlapp echoed Kellogg's sentiments, calling Kelly's smear campaign a personal vendetta. Here's her tweet. I worked for John Kelly. I don't believe him. His last-ditch effort to stop Donald Trump is desperate. This is a personal vendetta from his staffer who failed at his job and believed as a chief of staff that he should have been the ultimate decision maker. Well, Now I'm having the wonderful mouse problem. Even Kelly McEnany, who was present at the supposed meeting Kelly referred to, slammed the accusations as lies. She emphasized that the Atlantic, led by notorious warmonger Jeffrey Goldberg, has a history of fabricating stories, and I'm finding that at least in 2 cases that has been so. I was in that July meeting. That was undoubtedly the case, but the reason my antennas went up last night when I saw the name Jeffrey Goldberg is because I was on a tarmac in September of 2020, and a story popped from him in the Atlantic, and it was the suckers and losers story we have all heard. Within hours, I was able to collect more than a dozen individuals, several who were firsthand sources, saying that never happened, said McEnany. She continued, my point is this is based on 4 anonymous sources 2 weeks before an election, disputed by people on the record, and yet it led a CBS news broadcast. What a shame. No, Atlantic never reached out to me. I was in that first meeting. They never reached out to me. Kayleigh McEnany debunks the John Kelly story. She has firsthand knowledge of what actually happened. She blasts Jeffrey Goldberg of the Atlantic for his...
I heard this overnight. So this is the Atlantic. It's Jeffrey Goldberg. And here's the headlines from the Atlantic. Trump, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. And you can see the subtitle there, the Republican nominees' preoccupation with dictators. And it goes on. When I saw this, first, they talk about a meeting with the Guillen family. The Guillen family tragically lost their sister, lost their daughter.
And remember, we talked about this last week. I actually first found out about this story because I'd forgotten, sadly, those tragic events from years ago. But it was the surviving sister tweeting that this was BS that called my attention to the whole story.
Daughter, she served our country honorably. And they characterize a meeting, one in which I was in. I was not in this December meeting they speak of, but a meeting with this family. And here's what the sister said about this story. Wow, I don't appreciate how you all are exploiting my sister's death for politics, hurtful, deceitful, the important changes she made for service members, and indeed she did. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. I was in that July meeting. That was undoubtedly the case. But the reason my antennas went up last night when I saw the name Jeffrey Goldberg is because I was on a tarmac in September of 2020, and a story popped from him in the Atlantic, and it was the suckers and losers story we have all heard. Within hours, I was able to collect more than a dozen individuals.
Okay. And I believe she just basically says what is written up above. So, and I already know that there's a fair number of people who are just going to completely discount this because it's from Fox. The most telling part of this entire smear campaign is that even Trump-hating former officials like Mark Esper have come forward to discredit Kelly's claims. In an interview with CNN, when asked if he had ever heard Trump speak in derogatory terms about the military, Esper flatly said no. And here's the quote. Were there ever any incidents, Secretary, that you have not previously spoken about in which you heard Donald Trump use similar language or refer to American military personnel in a derogatory fashion? No, not along the lines that John Kelly and others have outlined. Now, it's a little bit equivocal, but the long and the short is a lot of people are saying that he never said this. Now, maybe they're all lying. I don't know. That does happen. But I think that we have to be intellectually honest and look at that if we're going to evaluate this. Pops will be on with Pacific 414 election night. I expect a crazy time. Yeah, I don't, unless it's a Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday. No, it's a Tuesday, isn't it? Crap, I usually do stream on that day. Oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do on election day. I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know what I'm going to do as far as streaming. Hold up, journalists got one scoop, I got none. I'm oppressed. Exactly. You now understand, Sashi. Sashi, our main man, Sashi, and Enigma Severus. I'm so happy we're following the PC rules for ethnical representation. Yeah, I think we've just about got everybody in here. So, as you all, I think you all already know that I've never been a fan of Kamala Harris's. I didn't really know much about her until later. And then when Tulsi Gabbard came out and left the Democratic Party, I wrote about that situation and I blogged about that situation. That's when I knew that Kamala was the vice president. That's when I heard first the debate that she had with Kamala. So you guys are probably going to get tired of me doing this, but I can't help but keep coming around to it, because to me this should have been the definitive moment, and how we've gotten here to where not only is she now running for president, but friends of mine are excited about her is completely baffling to me. Probably as baffling to me as me supporting Trump is baffling to you guys. Let's see what happened in that debate. I'm going to back up a little bit because I think it's interesting that Kamala and Biden were not so cozy at the time, but I don't want to belabor that point.
For what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Thank you, Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden.
All right. Does everybody remember this? This was, to me, this is where the Democratic Party should have gone, but it went the other direction. Yeah. And I think a lot of you do. Let me know if this is too repetitious, and I'll skip on to the next point. But I can't help but gloat over it because I just think Tulsi's awesome. And like I say, this, to me, I can't understand seeing this and then feeling excited about Kamala after watching this.
At the last debate, you called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
All right, let's see what the people are saying. Kamala has still not answered what her plans are. She does not have one. Nor do her puppet controllers. Now, I'm not so sure about that, Enigma. I'm actually a little bit scared that her puppet controllers have a plan, but I don't think that it's anything that would do us well.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
All right, let's see what people are saying. She was given her plans. She grew up middle class. Yeah, exactly.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about.
That's exactly correct. You can judge people when they're under fire. All right, I will let the debate go. I think you've seen enough of that, because I think most of you have seen it before. And those who agree love that, and those who disagree probably hate it. She's eating the dogs. Whoa, 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 whoa. She's eating the cats. Meow, 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 meow. Oh, man. I'm not sure how I want to go with this next part. I know I don't want to share that. I am going to share this. May be unfair and may be pointless. And frankly, it might even be a deep fake, but I'm going to share it and see what you guys think. I found this on Twitter today. Okay. Since both Jeffrey Epstein and The Atlantic are in the news, here's a photo of the current owner of The Atlantic. That would be Steve Jobs' wife, which, I don't know enough about her, but that is who she is. Here's a photo of the current owner of The Atlantic casually lounging with Jeffrey Epstein's madam. Somebody else made it a little more clear. Publisher of the Trump is Hitler story, world's most notorious living trafficker of children. I'm getting a compliment from someone on Twitter. I don't know if they want me sharing their name or not, but thank you very much. You're very kind. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. Let me know. Let me know if I am too biased or whatever. Troy Pacelli had shared this one, so I'm going to share this one with you guys.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration.
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional.
All right. Again, likely unfair, but this is at least the way the right is looking at this. You're saying that he's like Hitler, who caused the death of 80 million people and tried to exterminate an entire race, versus a guy who lowered your taxes and hurt your feelings. Knock it off. You look stupid, according to this Robert Malone, MD. This is one I'm going to share later. We've already talked about this, and I'm going to share that later. In fact, I'm going to share that right now, actually. This is where I'm going to be a pseudo-centrist, because I haven't debunked this one yet. So I'm in the interest of being fair and in the interest of sharing with the community what I'm finding, I'm going to be sharing with this. Moira Kitty will not like that. What? Oh, yeah, right on. They're eating the dogs. Curtis, you should not be looking for those things on Twitter, my good sir. Well, I won't promise that I never look for things like that on Twitter, but this time I have a different reason for it. I can be a bad man. Let me introduce to you, literally, this is the irony and what's grieving me. This is literally my favorite Sports Illustrated model. I used to look at those. I had tons of, shall we say, interesting pictures on my computer, which I mostly don't have anymore. I don't have any of Stacey Williams anymore. I kind of had a crush on her. This picture just made me so happy back in the day. She's making some claims, and I don't want to poo-poo them. One, because she seemed to me like a fairly intelligent person back in the day. And two, I think it's disingenuous not to at least hear her out before we arbitrarily decide that she's wrong. Some of you may know what you're about to hear.
I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, and my senior year of high school, I was discovered at the mall, because where else were we all hanging out in the late 80s, by a former model. And that led me to New York and Europe and a long, lucrative career as a model. And in 1992, my agent invited me to a dinner to a restaurant on the Upper East Side of New York. And there were other models there and the usual men hangers on at this dinner. And one of the men who was sitting at this table was Jeffrey Epstein. And I had never heard of him or anything, but we got to know each other, and we talked a lot about Clinton and Gore. And I enjoyed the fact that he was politically engaged and wasn't infantilizing me and talking to me about that. The next time that I saw Jeffrey was a few months later in December of 92 at Donald Trump's platform.
All right. You probably know where this is going, but I'm not going to censor or silence her, but I do want to pause it. Also, I want to ask if you're able to hear it, because sometimes I've learned that I play the Twitter thing and it doesn't show up. It doesn't play the sound. So let me know if it's playing. I am going to say that the rest of this is hard for me to listen to. I want to disbelieve it, but I also know, like I say, if I'm going to be intellectually honest, I have to at least look at this and confront it. I think we all should.
As a hotel Christmas party. And it became very clear then that he and Donald were really, really good friends and spent a lot of time together. After that, Jeffrey Epstein expressed a lot of interest in me, and we started seeing.
I'll bet he did. I'll bet that part of this conversation is totally true.
Each other. When Jeffrey and I would talk, he mentioned Trump frequently. He was clearly a close friend, and they were spending a lot of time together. Late winter, early spring of 93, I was on a walk with Jeffrey from his brownstone on the Upper East Side down Fifth Avenue, when Jeffrey looked at me and said, let's go stop by and see Trump. And so we went to Trump Tower and went up the elevator, and moments later, Trump was greeting us, and he pulled me into him.
All right. Again, pausing it partly so that, we don't get dinged, but also it's very uncomfortable to listen to. And I want it not to be true, but I can't at this time tell you whether it is or not. It is what she's saying.
And started groping me. He put his hands all over my breasts, my waist, my butt, and I froze. And I froze because I was so deeply confused about what was happening because the hands were moving all over me. Yet these two men were like smiling at one another and continuing on in their conversation. Jeffrey and I left, and I got into the elevator with him, and I felt this, like, he didn't look at me, he didn't speak to me, and I felt this like seething rage around him. His whole energy shifted. And when we got down to the sidewalk, he looked at me and started just berating me. He kept saying, "Why did you let him do that? Why did you let him put his hands all over you? What?" And he made me feel so disgusting. And I remember at that moment being so utterly confused. Number one, I thought, well, yeah, why did I let him do that? And then I was confused because, well, but why is Jeffrey mad? Because he's the one that took me up there. And
the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is so painful. And it's so divisive because everybody insists that it's people on the other side that are on the list. And I guarantee whether Trump's on it or not, whether Biden's on it or not, I guarantee you people on both sides of the aisle are on that list. One thing I am going to say in unfairness, revealing my bias, I think it's curious that I have not seen Trump show any fear of that list being released. So it does make me question this, but again, let's at least give her a day in court.
I was also confused because I was someone who really prided myself as being sort of one of the tough models who was problematic because I fought back against the predators in the industry. I defended fellow models on the streets of Paris when we would be grabbed or harassed. So how did I let that happen? I felt so humiliated and so sick to my stomach and was so upset. And as I absorbed what happened a few minutes later, I felt like that was some sort of sick bet or game between the two of them. I was rolled in there like a piece of meat for some kind of challenge or twisted game.
Let's see what Lady Mist has to say here. Hitler didn't start off his reign of terror killing 6 million people. He worked his way up to it. My family member that broke through the gates of Dachau brought back pictures of what he saw. That's, oh my gosh. I'm sorry that they went through that. The horror him and his generals caused there is not something even hell could match. So joking about being Hitler or wanting generals like he had is in no way a good sign to where this country has gone. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if you're saying he said it or if you're saying he didn't say it, but the fact that we're talking about it, yeah, is just terrible. Which, if he did say it, then that's not cool, obviously. And if he didn't say it, then it's totally not cool that people are making up that he said it. And again, with this scandal right here, if it were anyone but Stacey Williams, I probably wouldn't share it. I'd probably honestly just disregard this. But we're in a bad state either way, whether it's because Trump did this or whether it's because she's making this up. Either way, something horrible is going on here.
And I felt horrendous. And not long after that, a postcard of Mar-a-Lago was couriered to my agent. And there was a personal message on the back from Donald Trump. I still have that postcard, and it makes me sick to look at it. And it takes me back to that feeling.
This statement may be unfair. It may be unfair, but I can't help but wonder if it makes you sick. Why do you still have it? I don't know. I have been abused myself, not sexually, but I have been abused. So I do know it messes with your mind. But I know that I, like the stick that my mom used to beat the crap out of me with, if it was still around, I would not be keeping that mofo. I would burn it. I would dance around the ashes unless I were wanting to use it against her later, but without meaning to. I don't want to be that dumbass. It's like, it's her fault for this happening. If it did happen, it's not her fault in any way, shape, or form. But I can't help but wonder, why are you coming out with it now? Why didn't you come out with it? Why didn't you come out with it in 2016? Hell, we might not be having this discussion. Because if it's true, then you could have kept him from being president and we wouldn't be talking about all this. But again, now I'm in danger of being that dumbass that's basically blaming the victim for something that happened.
Of confusion and being frozen and humiliated. And that is why I am here tonight. I figured it was time to share this, and I'm ready to win this election. The thought of that monster being back in the White House is my absolute worst nightmare. So thank you very much for including me in this remarkable group of women. Seriously.
All right. So there it is. That's what she says in her statement. Let me know what you think. Mark Malakoff, history. I wish people would read more. Many of Hitler's generals also tried to kill him. Yes. In the July 20 plot of 1944, to understand, I highly recommend reading The Rise and Fall of Third Reich. I have that book, but I have not read it, sadly. And yes, they did. I know I don't know what you'd really want to call him, but the philosopher and pastor and martyr, in my humble opinion, Bonhoeffer, was part of that attempt. And I wish I had read more of his stuff because I think he was an amazing mind.
I grew up in...
Oh, that's enough. Whether she's being true and honest or not, I don't know that I want to hear any more of it. Because either way, it breaks my heart. And I don't really know what to do with that information, but I will say this. I'm not convinced enough to change my view or my vote at this time. Maybe that makes me disingenuous. Let me know in the comments, with some respect, if you think I am being disingenuous. Here's the report from the Daily Beast. Former model drops twisted game bombshell. I won't read the whole thing because she already stated it. The Trump campaign has denied Williams' claim, which I would assume they would either way. Spokesperson Carolyn Levitt told The Guardian these accusations made by a former activist for Barack Obama and announced on a Harris campaign call 2 weeks before the election are unequivocally false. It's obvious this fake story was contrived by the Harris campaign. That's their words, not mine. Williams, now 56, shared details of her allegations on a Zoom call organized by Survivors for Kamalla, a group that took out a full-page ad in the New York Times this week reminding readers that Trump was found liable for sexual abuse in a court of law. I don't often talk about that because it's just too thorny of an issue. And maybe that makes me horrible, but I don't really see how we can have that discussion and be level-headed and yet objective at the same time. No evidence has ever emerged that Trump was aware of the financier's abuse, nor was he implicated in Epstein's crimes. The former president was quick to distance himself from Epstein following Epstein's arrest on child sex trafficking charges in 2019, with a lawyer for the Trump Organization claiming at the time that Trump had no relationship with Epstein. In reality, they had known each other for decades and had been pictured together on multiple occasions. Trump himself tried to downplay their ties, telling journalists in the Oval Office in 2019 that he knew Epstein like everybody in Palm Beach knew him, adding that he hadn't spoken to him in 15 years following an unspecified falling out. I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you, Trump added at the time. His comments were dramatically different from the fawning quotes he used to give reporters about Epstein. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy, he told New York Magazine in 2002. He's a lot of fun to be with. He has even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. Trump has been photographed with Epstein at his Mar-a-Lago resort in 2000 and 1997. NBC News also in 2019 published footage of them together at a party, apparently showing them discussing women dancing in front of them at the party. One of Epstein's victims, Virginia, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She was also working at Mar-a-Lago as a locker room attendant when she was approached by Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who we saw a picture of talking with the owner of the Atlantic, if she'd like to earn extra money by giving massages. Virginia, who was 17 at the time, sorry, I don't want to butcher her name, says the offer ultimately led to her being sexually abused by Epstein. Flight logs entered into evidence during Maxwell's trial for her role in helping Epstein abuse girls showed that Trump flew with Epstein at least 7 times during the 90s. In a strange twist of fate, Trump also flew on a private jet once belonged to Epstein this August while traveling between political fundraisers. His campaign told the Daily Beast at the time that Trump and his staff had no idea, which I'm sure they didn't, I wouldn't, about the aircraft's previous owner, said they'd instructed the charter company never to lease them that plane again. And again, I hate to even share this. I want to disbelieve it. And if any of you comes up with evidence either promoting it as truth or against it, please let me know. Because it's this kind of crap that plays with my head and makes me doubt my own sanity. At the risk of sounding very cruel, it's not enough, though, when I've heard lie after lie after lie after lie. It's not enough unless it's just absolutely proven in stone to be true. It's not enough to change my thought or my vote. I'm almost done, actually. A couple more things. I'm going to switch off the topic for just a bit. And crap, I do have a poll going. I'm glad that I was reminded of that. So far, nobody wants any more stuff about Fauci. So I must not have done a great job with that. I'm sorry about that. But 39% of you want me to read Edgar Allan Poe poems on Tuesday. So we'll see if that's still the way it is at the end of the stream. 33% want more election stuff. And 28% want me to talk about the history of Halloween. Man, I'm sorry if my stuff about Fauci wasn't very good. But, hey, it is what it is. This is likely a shift in topic, but I wanted to share this last week and didn't, or actually, I mean, not last week. But I've been wanting to share this since I heard this. I woke up, I think it was yesterday, and normally I do not watch any of the news stuff in the morning because, frankly, I can't deal with it. The first thing in the morning has got to be positive. I typically meditate. I listen to affirmations. I basically try to get my head into a good, solid place. And then if I look at the news, it's usually for this blog and later on in the evening. But for a change, I just watched this. My spidey sense was going off. And I'm going to play this, and we will see what we think about this development.
We're the party of common sense. I like to say it because it's true. Like, we don't want men playing in women's sports. We want to have borders. We want to have fair elections. Little things like that, common sense, right? But she's here tonight, and I'm going to just ask her to come up and say a couple of words. Tulsi Gabbard.
In Curtis Selby's perfect world, it would have been her instead of these yahoos. But, things are the way they are. So.
Thank you very much. Aloha. I was a Democrat for over 20 years. Today's Democrat, thank you. Today's Democrat Party is completely unrecognizable, which points to the clear choice that we have in this election today.
Let's see if anyone's... Lady Mist. My family is a military family. Having honor is very important to them. I watch Trump at his rallies. Do not feel he has any. By the way, he talks about this country and the people living in it. I know my friends would agree with you. Sometimes I have felt that way. And yes, I've had my shift, but I don't want to be dismissive or poo-poo what you say, because there definitely are times when it at least appears that way. And yeah, I don't want to be dismissive. I don't want to make the same mistake that my liberal friends made with me. I don't want to make that mistake with you. I'm not going to come in here and say, you should vote for him, although I am. I'm not coming in here saying that you need to drink Kool-Aid or that this guy needs to be your hero. But the other thing I'm going to say, because I'm kind of a selfish person, when I was young, I don't know how to tell this story and make it relevant, which begs the question why I'm telling it at all. But my dad took bankruptcy when I was 12 years old. He'd actually made a pretty fair amount of money when I was younger doing a business. And then he made some poor choices. And by the time I was 12, he'd lost not quite everything, but he lost nearly everything that he had. And where I'm going with this is it was a challenge, but I made sure to buy a class ring. I was a weird kid. I loved the Lord of the Rings. I wanted a class ring. And you're asking yourself, why the hell are you bringing this up, Curtis? I'm getting to the punchline, I promise. I was in football. I was in basketball. I was in speech. I was in all kinds of organizations. I could have put any of them on that ring, but what I wanted on that ring were the words loyalty and honor. And so I don't want to harp at you about anything we're disagreeing about. I want to reach out to you about the things that we agree on. Absolutely, honor has got to start becoming a part of our thinking and of our process. And I absolutely don't want to poo-poo you if you believe that Trump doesn't have honor. I am hopeful that you are wrong, but I can understand. I can totally understand. There are speeches, they're like sending a tweet out that you hate Taylor Swift. Look, yeah, he's my candidate, but what the hell's the point in that? She's a kid. She's going to vote against you. That's her choice. If you want to change her mind, show her that honorable side. One of the reasons why I love Tulsi Gabbard is because I do believe that she demonstrates honor, which I know makes you wonder, well, then why is she supporting Trump? And that's exactly what I want us to be asking. Because I don't think it's because she's a dishonorable woman. If I did, I would just shut up about all this and start talking about the last book that I read.
When you look at the party of Kamala Harris, for example, she is anti-freedom, she is pro-censorship, she is pro-open borders, and she is pro-war. Without even pretending to care about peace, as President Trump talked about, she has shamelessly embraced the endorsement and support of warmongers like Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney and others who care more about power and feeding the military-industrial complex than they care about you, the American people, and peace. President Trump has pledged to end wars, not start them. And this is why, in the eyes of the Kamala Harris, Dick Cheney Democrat Party, they will do everything possible to try to destroy him.
Well, let me pause that there and see. Okay, nobody's saying anything. This has been my dilemma for a long time because my friends say that the Republican Party left them. I felt like the Republican Party left me a long, long time ago. And this is one of the reasons why I listened to the people that were pro-Trump for so long. And then, like I say, I had this confusion, and it still exists. You can hopefully hear it when I talk about Stacey Williams talking about him. I absolutely want that not to be so, but I don't know. So when I cast my vote, I'm going to have to think about that. I will cast it. I'll probably, unless that's proven to be true. In fact, even if it is, because I can't, I might vote for a third party candidate or something, but I can't vote for censorship. I just can't do it. Let's see what else she has to say.
You'll see how they have weaponized the federal government. They have weaponized law enforcement, the Department of Justice. They have done everything possible to try to silence him, to try to remove him from the ballot, so we the people don't even have the choice to who we want to vote for. Why have they done this? Because this man has the courage to take them on and root out the deep rot of corruption in the swamp in Washington. Now, voters have made their voices heard loud and clear, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the last 3 presidential elections, nominating this man to be the Republican nominee for president because of his commitment to these fundamental American principles of freedom and peace.
All right, let's see. All right, Sashi, let's see what you're saying. Malaysia has just formally joined BRICS. India and China are starting to get together at the summit in Russia. Stuff is happening around the world that is going to affect you guys. Yeah, and I don't think a lot of us understand when the dollar quits being the fiat currency, a lot of this stuff's going to collapse like a house of cards. And frankly, I think that's going to be whoever the president is. Let's see what Lady Mist has to say. I made up my own mind by studying the information about them from both sides. Both sides have celebs endorsing them. I don't like them. I made up my mind. That's my job, by learning from both sides. Yeah, correct. And you don't have to tell me, but I am a little curious which one, or if you're going to vote for either of them. You know, I've been upset with Trump since January 6th, since before January 6th. And it's taken a lot of, one, I had to learn that a lot of the things that I was upset with him about were lies. Again, I don't want to poo-poo your thought about him not having honor, because I've heard really smart people show me instances of speeches where he said things that just made me go, what in the hell was that? But I discovered that a great deal of things said about him were lies. Number two, I could not ignore the assassination attempt unless someone's got absolute bona fide proof that that was staged. I can't ignore that. With respect to what you say about honor, I think that was an honorable action right there. It's why I've changed my mind. I'm not saying this to persuade you. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just letting you know that that's my position. When that bullet hit his ear and he stood up and he said, fight, 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 I think that told me that I was mistaken about his character. Now, again, this thing with Stacey Williams is shaking that. Yeah, again, I'm not intellectually honest if I ignore that or don't share that or don't let you know how I feel and think about that. And the very last thing is, my candidate is Kennedy. I would honestly rather vote for him. I would rather vote for Tulsi. I would rather vote for Stranahan, but they're not on the ballot, sadly. And I can't ignore the fact that all of these people are backing him. And I can't help but think that it doesn't explain it away to just say that all of these people, and I know you're not saying this, Lady Miss, I'm talking about the left, not you. But all we're being told is that all of these people are messed up. And to me, it no longer holds water. There's got to be reasons why all of these liberals are choosing to pick his side. And it may just be brutal politics. It may not have anything to do with honor. I hope it does, but it may not. Let's see what else she has to say.
Peace and prosperity. USA. Now, to those of you here or those watching at home who are independent-minded people like my...
Like, I think probably a lot of us in here. A man died, so I hope it wasn't. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Lady Mist. And again, with respect, it's one of the reasons why I don't believe it was staged. Because first, we know there were real bullets flying. We know that. And maybe Donald Trump is an honorless bastard, but I don't think he's stupid enough to risk actually taking a bullet to the head. You would have to be just a profound moron to be willing to try that stunt. the odds are just too good of and it just makes no logical sense to me that is what has happened. And the same people, not you, Lady Miss, but some of the same people who I've heard saying, "Oh, that was staged," are the same people who denounce and rightfully so, who denounce Alex Jones for saying that Sandy Hook was staged. To me, one puts oneself on the level of Alex Jones when you say that the assassination attempt was staged. It happened right in front of our own eyes. And I can't ignore that. I just can't. Lady Miss, World War III is going to be terrible. I think because of peace for so long, we've forgotten that. Yeah. And that's another reason why I'm here talking about all this stuff, is because I honestly, I am profoundly surprised we haven't fallen into a civil war. And I honestly, perhaps incorrectly, but I honestly believe that if Donald Trump had died, I think that would have happened. And I don't know that Donald Trump is any great, wonderful person, but I believe that God spared our country. And I think we need to process that, figure out what we're going to do about that. I'm with you. I'm terrified that we're going to have a World War III. And I don't want to be one of these Kool-Aid drinkers. Only Trump can stop it. I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know if anything can stop it at this point. But I don't know. I do feel like the American people, frankly, myself included, I don't know that we're strong enough to win it this time. I don't feel he would be up to it, as the whole world is going insane right now. I'm definitely not going to argue with that point, because I feel you. I feel you on that. Without meaning to be abrupt, let's go back to what Tulsi's saying here.
Myself, who love our country and are committed to the Constitution and to freedom, the Democrat Party has no home for people like us. But we do have a home in the Republican Party, where we are welcomed with open arms by President Trump and so many of you who love our country.
This is one of the other things that has made me go on my journey. Lady Miss, sorry, I feel he goes where the money goes. You may not be wrong. You may not be wrong. I know he's a little bit of a shark, and I remember watching him on The Apprentice, and they did a great job on the first 2 seasons of making him look like a great and wonderful person. And then the Celebrity Apprentice, he just seemed to become a dumbass. So again, I know I'm embracing him as a candidate. I'm saying good, positive things about him, but we can't be Kool-Aid drinkers. There's aspects of this guy that I don't know that I will ever like, and maybe that's okay. Again, in my perfect world, this would be, I don't know. I don't even know anymore, but it would be Tulsi in that Democratic slot, or it would be Kennedy or Stranahan. And I'll be blunt. I think even with the bullet flying, I think I would have still voted for them over Trump if they were the candidates. And again, with respect, remember, the Democratic Party ran them off. My liberal friends will say about Trump, oh, it's my way or the highway. He demands absolute freedom. You're fired or else. And you look at his presidency, and I can see why you think that, because he did. He fired a lot of people. But then I think he's better than the Democrat Party right now. And I say that in part because he is maybe just for politics, maybe just for money, but he is embracing people with differences. She supported Bernie Sanders. That's about as un-Republican as it gets without, going to crazy town. Kennedy, classical liberal Democrat. Stranahan, classical liberal Democrat. But he does, again, maybe just for politics, but he does embrace them when the Democrats aren't willing to. And I will guarantee you this, if they end up losing, it's going to be because of that, or at least in part because of that.
And it is because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party. I'm joining the party of the people, the party of equality, the party that was founded to fight against and end slavery in this country. It is the party of common sense, and the party that is led by a president who has the courage and strength to fight for peace.
All right. Then there it is. I mean, I never thought that she would do that. And I know it's hard. It's kind of an emotional whiplash to go from the talk about Stacey Williams to then go to Tulsi Gabbard. It's that surreal thing that reality does to you. Lady Miss just gave a like. You're a good listener. It's been nice talking to someone that doesn't go off the deep end when they're not agreed with. We need more of this kind of talking to get things working. I thank you very much. I love you, Lady Miss. Take that the right way, please. I don't want to alienate anyone in the community. I know that there are people who are going to vote for Kamalla, and it's part of what I'm trying to say on this channel. I don't like Kamalla. I'm not going to vote for her. I have some very negative things to say about her if I'm allowed my reign. But having said that, part of my journey is that I'm re-embracing Christ. And I'm not saying that you have to at all, but I believe that I need to. And if I'm going to embrace Christ, the last thing I need to be is a hypocrite. And I'm getting on to people for not listening to me, and I have to listen to you guys as long as you're respectful. And you were totally respectful. So I believe it's what Christ would want me to do, is to listen to what you have to say and actually respect what you have to say, instead of just, well, you're just, there's been too much of that. Mark Molnikoff, that's the entire problem today. Every disagreement turns into name calling and yelling. Yeah. And I'll admit, I've got my temptations sometimes. There's times when I want to throw gotcha stuff out at people, but it's almost never productive. Lady Miss, if Trump dies in office as vice president is going to be president, that is to me not good. I understand. I haven't made up my mind about Vance. So there are things that he said that I like. I'm just going to put that out there because I don't want to be disingenuous. But I really wish Trump had picked Kennedy or Tulsi. I would have been so much happier if he had done that.
So, as we stand here today, we have 14 days until the most historic election of our lives. And my message to my fellow Americans, regardless of your political affiliation, now is the time for us to stand together to save our country. There is nothing less than that that's on the line.
Now, this is part of my issue and part of what I'm hopping up and down about in this channel. We have one side saying that the other one is literally Hitler and that democracy is going to end if we vote for him. But then that's also what the right, including people that I love and respect and would vote for, are saying about the left. And it's a painfully confusing thing. We have to walk this knife's edge, and if we vote the wrong way, we're done as a democracy. But then, are we so sure that we've got the right side? And I'm asking that of both sides. I will ask that all the way up till the day of the election itself. And then once it happens, whatever happens, I'm just going to try to survive it. But we have to be open and willing to question, not every basic assumption, every single decision, every single day, but every now and then we have to question our basic assumptions. And do we have the right person? Are we walking the right path?
A vote for President Trump is a vote for a big open tent party that welcomes people from all backgrounds and all walks of life. A vote for President Trump is a vote to express our deep love for our country and our appreciation for our God-given rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. A vote for President Trump is a vote for secure borders and safe communities, and a vote for President Trump is a vote for peace here in America and around the world.
Pause it there. What do you think? What do you guys feel about that? Both the pro and the anti-Trump. Do you think that she's saying, I believe she says what she believes to be true, but do you agree with her, or do you think that Kamalla has a point? I know I've not been great about championing her side, but just let me know.
I'm looking forward to casting my vote for President Trump because you are our best and only hope in this election to lead our country toward a future where every one of us can live in a truly free, peaceful, and prosperous nation. Every single vote will count. This is our opportunity to vote for freedom, to vote for peace, to vote for America, and vote for President Trump to go back to the White House and make America great again. Thank you so much.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So anyway, maybe this matters, maybe it doesn't, but it's been a long time since I felt pride in being a Republican. It wasn't Trump that gave that to me. It was Tulsi. I'm just putting that out there. Make of that whatever you want. Lady Miss, I want it separate from the government. He is a hardcore do as I say you do, or you will get punished. Never underestimate a hardcore Christian that believes his way is the only way. No, I get that. And I've had that journey too. And I can understand why maybe a lot of my Christian friends, maybe they doubt the sincerity of my Christianity, because after my marriage, I'm not going to go so far as to say that I abandoned it all, but I had a lot of deep and soul stirring questions, and quite a few of those questions have not been answered. But I do believe that this is the path I am supposed to take. But unlike a lot of my Christian friends, I'm not going to tell you that you have to take this way, or you're going to hell, or you're a bad person. I know that's what the Bible says, and I don't really know what to do with that, but I'm not willing to say that. That's just me. Maybe that makes me a bad Christian, and if so, I'm sorry. T and Telly, she's a Buddhist. I think she's amazing. I watch her on her channel, and there's nothing in my heart that says, "Oh, she's going to hell because she's a Buddhist." And I know this is not a good argument, but I can't help but believe that a good and all-loving God loves her more than I do, not less. So I don't know. My theology's crap, so don't listen to me on that. Lady Mist, I'm a Christian. I worry for us if he becomes president if Trump can't. I understand. Sorry, took over the chat. No, you're fine. You're fine. I could reference, I won't name names, but I could reference people who take over chats. You didn't take over the chat. You're just speaking your mind, and I'm glad you did. I want people to be within reason, obviously. I don't want disrespect thrown around or insults, but I want people to feel safe to air their views. For me, it's how I see us sending tons of money to Ukraine while telling Israel there's limits since October 7th. That and the disgusting things I saw during the DNC. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not crayfishing, but I tend to agree with you there. Here we go. One or two more things from X, and then
Pennsylvania.
And then I'm going to play one last video and call it a stream. This gentleman shares that the Trump Hitler story is a psyop. I mean that literally, not figuratively. It's a military-grade, multi-stage psychological operation engineered to re-energize demoralized Harris supporters and through stigmatization reduce turnout among Trump supporters. And he shows like all of these. It's been going on for years.
And my senior year of high school.
I don't know if I bookmarked it or not, but there's someone who says in here that I remember Bush being called a Nazi. I remember Reagan being called a Nazi. It's been going on for a long, long time. And I don't like that the right has embraced that strategy. But the left's been throwing that at us for a long, long time. And I've never felt that that was fair or right. Lady Mist, if Ukraine falls, Putin will go after another country. I know that there's people who disagree with you, but I can't because I don't know. I don't know Putin. I hope that the war just ends. And this is one of the places where I disagree with both my conservative and my liberal friends. Zelensky was willing to sit at the table and negotiate an end to the war. And our State Department, through the British ambassador there, told him that we would basically not to take the deal. And, well, we prop him up. So he didn't take the deal. So I feel like it's at least partly on us. And I think we should do what we reasonably can do to bring it to an end. Darth Plato, howdy, howdy. You know, I love that Batgirl outfit. It's just mudslinging. A lot of it is. My dad always said elections are simple. The best bullshitter wins. Sadly, not wrong. Darth Plato, don't believe anything we hear about Ukraine. I've learned to question a lot of it, and I may be wrong. Maybe I've been told lies, but those are the things that sources I trust are saying, is that he was willing to sit down and negotiate an end. We told him not to take it. And if that's so, to me, that's criminal and wrong. I wanted to share this. I don't know Lauren Lee very well, but Tulsi Gabbard is officially a Republican. This move shook me to my core. As someone who is not only a fan of Tulsi, but a true independent, I felt a tinge of sadness to lose another politician to the pull of partisanship. I had hoped the tremendous support for RFK this election season would break the two parties. But to stay in that place is to miss the remarkable reformation that is currently happening in American politics. Just weeks before the election, we're seeing the complete realignment of the existing two parties. The old Republican Party is dead. Dick Cheney, Mike Pence, heroes of the old regime, have sided with Kamalla, along with hundreds of Republican Bush-era bureaucrats. Tech billionaires like Bill Gates are coming out with millions backing her campaign. I don't know if this is true, but she claims that even Vladimir Putin has endorsed her. The Democrat Party is unrecognizable, siding completely with corporate interests, big pharma, and the war machine. But the Republican Party is something new, something we haven't seen before, a genuine resistance against elites and big money. This morning, J.D. Vance called for the immediate release of the Epstein client list, while Democrats like Waltz, Kerry, and Clinton publicly demand more censorship. Now, again, I don't want to drink Kool-Aid. I pointed out the possibilities maybe Trump is on that list. We have to be intellectually honest about these things. The Republicans, notably Gabbard, are the only ones calling for peace and an end to the police state advocated by Kamala Harris. To realize the historic shift that is occurring, we as independents must drop our knee-jerk hatred of the Republican Party. Instead, look at the tremendous step forward we're taking as a nation. Together, we are witnessing the reformation of American politics. This is how Gabbard, Musk, RFK, and any other Democrats who choose freedom at this critical time will be remembered. Because of a few brave people who linked arms and dared to call out the corruption, we the people have a voice again. To stay mired in judgment is to miss the moment. This is why, as a staunch independent, I will be voting for Donald Trump. And yeah, this gentleman here, I remember when Bush was Hitler, and before that, when Reagan was Hitler. So there's that. Yeah, Lady Mist, I sadly think it is true. Elections usually go to the best bullshitter. The biggest problem is the U.S. State Department, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, Darth Plato. Again, my sources could be wrong, but the sources I trust and respect do say there was a peace treaty, ready to be negotiated, and we said no, don't take it. Now, maybe there were good reasons to. Maybe my sources haven't told me the good reasons why it wasn't taken. But too soon to call it a reformation. Yeah, you're likely right. Maybe I'm being too hopeful, or maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much. Darth Plato, what the T-Man campaign should do is ask for Harris to declare she would accept the outcome of the election. Yeah, 100%. Lady Miss, the countries Finland and Sweden that have been neutral forever now want to join NATO for fear of Putin. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying there. It's something we need to think about. Accounting Sheep, howdy, howdy. Thank you for being here. I'm actually almost done, but thank you for being here. Technically, the Tulsi news just moves both parties further to the left on average. You have a point. You have a point. Let me share two more things, and then I'm going to call it a stream. This was shared to me by a YouTuber that, a YouTuber that I don't even know that they're pro-Trump, but it's interesting that they've been very positive about a lot of the things that I say. So, God bless you for that. This is a poly market. Basically, these are people betting on all kinds of stuff here. Right here, the presidential election winner, 64% of the bettors are betting that Trump will win. Having said that, though, they are voting that Kamalla will win the popular vote. And my hope, whichever side wins, it has to be a landslide. It has to be. Because if it isn't, the other side's not going to take it. And then we're screwed. But anyway, I thought you would be interested in that. I don't care to share the polls because the right-wingers all say Trump is winning. The left-wingers all say Kamala is winning. I thought about starting it with that. But to me, it makes... I'm just tired of the same old, my side's going to win, your side's going to lose. Darth Plato, they should stay neutral. Joining NATO makes things worse. And I hope I don't sound like I'm crayfishing, but I kind of tend to agree with you, Darth Plato, not meaning to poo-poo your point, Lady Miss, because I do think we need to consider that Finland and Sweden are so afraid of Putin. But I do think that part of this dynamic is that NATO has spread so much that Russia feels threatened. That doesn't make Russia the good guy in this. This doesn't make Russia the one in the right. But I think that part of the dynamic that we have to consider is, if I feel like I'm a rat trapped against the wall, yeah, I'm probably going to come after you. Sashi, I remember when Putin said he preferred Harris. It was in our media. CNN and U.S. media mostly left it out. And Sashi, I agree with you. I think Putin was trolling. I don't think he really cares, to be honest. This is one of the reasons why I disbelieve a lot of this stuff about Russian disinformation. I don't think they give a crap who wins the election because they are smart enough to know, well, we aren't, that it's not the president that's running the show. It's the alphabet soup. And this is one of the reasons why I'm hopping up and down about all this stuff that's going on about Trump. I don't think Trump is a wonderful guy, but I'm sick and damn tired of the alphabet soup throwing out their lies, and we just believe it. Corporate media is in bed with them. We just believe what they say. We don't do our research. We don't. Look, maybe my research here has been wrong, but at least I did it. At least I didn't take that first page of Google and go, oh, well, it must be true. Trump's a fascist. It has to be true. 2 pages of Google have stuff saying he is. Mark Malnikoff, Finland has hated Russia for decades. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They kicked the Red Army's ass in 1939 during the Winter War. They must know something we don't. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. Dad used to tell me about the Finnish fight against Russia. That was brutal. Lady Miss, coming from a country large enough to hopefully protect itself, look who many think of Ukraine being helped. Would we have that same attitude if they were attacked? That's an yeah. I get you. I don't want to just sit and let Russia invade countries. I don't want that. At the same time, as much as I'm respecting the Ukrainian people for their fight, I don't see how they can actually win unless we do things that are unthinkable. And so to me, rather than do the unthinkable things like actually go to war with Russia or actually nuke somebody, I think we should figure out some kind of peace that both of the countries could live with. I don't know what that is. I'm not smart enough to say I know, but I would way rather we did that as start killing each other. Sashi, Ukraine does have people aligned to Mustache Man. It's true. Yeah, it's true. I'm not saying I'm not saying that justifies what Putin did, but it turned out to be true that there are neo-Nazis out there. I think Putin exaggerated how many there are, but they are there. My cousin went there in early 2000s, had to flee for her safety. Malaysia had a university twinning thing. Lady Miss, World War II is 10 years long. We got in late, ended it in 5. We're part of a planet. There's nowhere to hide anymore. Yeah. I doubt Putin would want Harris in there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I'm smart enough to know what he wants. Mark Monikoff, Sashi, both sides of my family, ancestors left Ukraine, then Russia for a better life because of the old hatred of anti-Semitism. Accounting sheep, I promise those things aren't unthinkable to the people we've elected. No, I wish you were wrong, but I am afraid you're right. Lady Miss, I live at Ground Zero. I will miss the war. I will be dead. I used to live near Ground Zero. Now I'm far enough away. I would probably survive at least the initial bombings. And so I would get to live through at least some of the hell. I don't know how long. Darth Plato, Russia and Ukraine and Georgia played out from the Bucharest NATO conference in 2008 when the conference declared Ukraine and Georgia would join NATO. Sashi, Malaysia is talking to Russia now, even after MH17 got shot down by Russian-aligned rebels in Ukraine, because our economy is being crushed by U.S. policy. We were a U.S. ally for a long time. Nobody's reporting on that. Literally nobody is reporting on that, Sashi. John, I'm glad I voted. Have no doubt about my choices. Okay, I'm going to end this stream. Before I do, I'm going to take a look at the poll. If I'm smart enough to get that back open. It looks like more election stuff pulled ahead. So I don't know who the voter was, but somebody decided they want me to keep talking about this election. So I don't mean to be unfair, but I'm going to call it a poll. And Tuesday, I don't know exactly what it will be, but I will have some more things to say about all of this stuff. It looks like Trump is pulling away. And with respect, Darth Plato, I don't mean to argue with you, but like I said before, it may have been before you got in here. If you look at a right-leaning poll, Trump's got it in the bag. If you look at left-leaning polls, Kamala's got it in the bag. I agree with the guy from Young Turks. Whoever ends up losing, it's going to be profoundly surprised. I'm trying to set myself up so that I'm not surprised whatever happens. I'll be blunt. I want Trump to win, but I also don't hang my hopes on him. I don't think he's the salvation of the nation. I want to believe that we as a people, we've got to be the salvation of the country. So whoever we vote for, they're not going to be the ones to do it. Lady Mist already voted and is happy with her choice, and I'm not going to pry. I just, as long as you're happy with the choice, we're good. Mark Malnikoff, Ukraine has historically been fought over many times. It's been sought after for its resources. I often wonder what might have happened had Hitler pushed through and made it to the Caucasus oil fields. But yeah, that is definitely something I've thought about before. And I did some blogging, and I even did a little bit, like just a little bit of posting about the history of Ukraine and how it's been fought over so many times. Probably a shallow dive into it, but I have talked about that. Do streams about all of those topics. If I had the creativity, I would. The election going south to the oil fields wrecked the German army. Edgar Allan Poe would be appropriate for election stuff, possibly. I used to have a channel called Poe's Hotel where I did book reviews and read Edgar Allan Poe poetry and kind of just made a big jerk out of myself. Nobody watched it, and now YouTube won't let me back into it. Sometimes I feel like it would be fun to try to do both again. Hopefully AI will take over soon. Welcome our robot overlords. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Skynet. At least it'll be quick. The Japanese dug up an 8 million-year-old bacteria that they are trying to make viral. This all may just be academic. Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to play one more thing and call it a stream. I didn't know how I wanted to end this until about 5 minutes before the stream. And then I can't remember. Somebody sent me a tweet, and it wasn't about this, but it reminded me of this. And it's why I decided to use Charlie Chaplin as my icon. This is the ending speech to Charlie Chaplin's classic, The Great Dictator, where he roasts Hitler. But maybe I'm just a sap, and maybe you guys will listen to this and think, you're full of crap. But I fell in love with this speech from the first time I heard it. And every month or two, I just have to bring it back out and listen to it. And I thought I would present it. And some of you have probably heard it, but for the rest of you, I hope you'll enjoy it. I will interrupt it in a couple of places so that YouTube doesn't ding me. But really, I wish I didn't have to, because the speech it speaks for itself. Let me give the background. In The Great Dictator, a Jew who looks just like Hitler has been confused for Hitler. And so now the Jew is up here on the camera, and he's supposed to give this speech about how he's going to declare that he's going to war to take over, the world, basically. And this is what Chaplin's character says. Oh, I hate having to pause it, but absolutely. As much as LDG, who's doing the Free the Net movement, I'm behind him 100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this in criticism of him, but even more than great technologies, we need great people. We need people who don't want to hurt each other, who don't want to censor each other, who are, maybe they do run for an office, but there are certain things they're not willing to stoop to in order to win it. And I hope, I think, I believe that Kennedy and Stranahan and Tulsi Gabbard are such people. I'm not going to try and jerk you around and say that I think Trump is. I want him to be. I hope in a part of my heart that maybe the assassination attempt has changed him, but I also have a cynical part that says that some people never change. Lady Miss doesn't mean to scare everybody. It's okay. Did I not watch the Terminator? Unclean, unclean. So it's basically the life of Brian, but with Hitler. Yeah, basically. Instead of being switched with Jesus, he switched with Hitler. John saw that one in the theater. On this, so reflective of what's going on today, I forgot about this speech. Yeah, I try not to let myself forget about it because it's so easy to forget these things in these times. He's not the Fuhrer. He's a very naughty boy. Lady Miss has to feed the dog. Everyone take care. Oh, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you came. I'm glad that you commented. I'm glad that we were able to have dialogue. That's exactly what we need. John Ponderer. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry that I didn't bring him up. For some reason, I sometimes forget him, and maybe that's my own horrible bias or something. But yes, I like Vivek Ramaswamy too. I really was hoping that Trump would pick him or Tulsi or Kennedy, and he picked Vance, and it is what it is. Speech has got 2 more minutes. I'll pause it one more time, and then we'll call it a stream. Of us all. And hell, now we have the internet. We're even closer than the what they had was minuscule compared to what we have. I mean, we literally have people from all over the world listening to this. I'm not meaning to make a big deal about myself, but it's a community of people from all walks of life, and that's why I love it. There's Democrats, there's Republicans, there's straight people, there's gay people, there's whites and blacks and Orientals and women and LGBTQ, and all of it's here. Maybe not necessarily in this chat, but in the community at large. I think the only thing I haven't seen yet is I'm not even going to go there, but just about everything is here. Oh my God, I hope and wish that is true. Mark Molnikoff, Vivek needs to be in Trump's cabinet. 100% agreed. All of the people that were mentioned, Elon Musk and Vivek and Tulsi and Kennedy, and frankly, I'm hoping Stranahan runs for governor of California. I think that would be fantastic if California came to its senses and elected her. But who knows what they'll really do. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are not slaves. You are men. And in that classical sense, that included all of us, women, everyone. John Ponderero, the Justice League. Yes. Counting sheep, no. Elon for White House press secretary. Oh, that's fantastic. Tim, accounting sheep, good one. LDG, you are not cattle. Great speech. Thank you. God, I love that you're hearing this. Again, I'm 100% behind your movement, 100%. But even more than technology, we need a renaissance of human feeling and love and compassion. Charlie Chaplin's speech at the end of The Great Dictator. It brings tears to my eyes. I still can't listen to it without it. Mark Mulnica, free men don't get into boxcars. Yeah. Oh, yeah. LDG used to play this speech at the beginning of your original live streams. Really? That's fantastic. Powerful speech. Yeah. And that's why I felt like I had to end it with this, because wherever you're at, whether you're voting for Trump, whether you're voting for Kamalla, it's not going to be those people that free us. It's got to be ourselves that set us free. Us and our whatever God we believe in, that's what's going to set us free. I'm going to call it a stream. Not with that music, though. This music. We can only free ourselves. Yeah. I may be wrong, but I believe that that's true. I really do. And that's why I'm trying not to despair. Whichever side wins, I'm trying to hope, I'm trying to believe that what Chaplin said here is true, that it may take some time, but I'm hoping that the human spirit, guided by whatever God is out there, is enough to make us free again. I'm going to thank everybody in the chat. Charlotte Nightstar, the werewolf. Oh, thank you for showing up. I know you are producing wonderful music, and I'm praying for your own personal situations. I pray the best for you, and whatever God's good will for you is, I pray for that. John Ponderero, you're a wonderful man. Your prayers, your contributions, your willingness to talk to me when I'm anxious and down are wonderful. Thank you very much. You're an incredible human being. Resolute Germ, thank you so much for showing up. I know you have your own stream. Thank you for taking the time to come here and listen a little bit and leave a comment. LDG, free the net. We're gonna do it. I haven't done the things that I wanted to do. I kind of intended to write you something and email it to you and see if it would help, but I keep getting distracted by life. That's on me. That's my bad. I appreciate you, and I love what you're hoping to do, and I believe we've got to believe you're going to be able to do it. Jim's Landscape, Commodore Productions, thank you for showing up. Hello, check him out. He's got some wonderful fan films. Gorilla's Random Thoughts also has wonderful watch parties of the Waltons and other movies, and he has a cigar lounge. It's just fun to be in. L. Connie Cleary, one of the great wrenches of YouTube. Check out her channel. She has wonderful birds and music. The things that we love, it's the love that's going to set us free, not the hate. Trump wants us to hate Kamala. Kamala wants us to hate Trump. Screw them. We're going to love. We're going to love each other. We're going to love birds and computers and Star Trek. Screw the hate. It won't set us free. E. Penzak, thank you very much for showing up and leaving the comment. You're very welcome here. Who have I left out? A lot of people. Tim. Hail, Tim. You will probably be... Hell, it's only 20 minutes before Netter's Network. Wow. I talked a lot. I hope it was worthwhile. I hope it was worth your time. And I hope at least some of it was entertaining. Who else is here? Penzak. So many people are here. I love that. Thank you, guys. Enigma Severus, a wonderful Christian man, one of the few people who's read that I know of. There may be some other people in this community that I don't know about, but there's maybe 3 people I've interacted with who are better read than I am. This is one of the few. That you've taught about C.S. Lewis. Moira Kitty, meow meow, thank you very much. I've learned a lot about politics from you. Again, so I know that some people may not agree with everything that you say, but I think that everything that you present needs to be considered and thought about. And Lady Mist, who knew you would be such an amazing and wonderful contribution to this stream? You are an amazing wrench. You present all the beautiful flowers and emojis. Thank you so much for that. And I'm glad that we don't have to agree. We can still support and love each other and find our way to freedom. Kapla, Mark Malmakoff. Our leaders have failed us. We need to sweep away the High Council. Put a new one in its place. Hello, Pops. I'm glad that you showed. Left some comments. I hope that you are doing well. Sashi, the man from the future, thank you very much for showing up and for the kind and thoughtful comments. I learned so much talking with you, and I hate that our country is doing the things that you're saying, and I believe you. I have no reason to doubt you. I hope that things can change, whichever side wins. I hope if Kamala wins, and I hope I'm wrong about her. If Trump wins, and I hope I'm more right than wrong about him. Faith, hope, and love, my friends, is what we need. It's what will get us through. Darth Plato, the person with the confusing image of Batgirl, who I just think is so wonderful. You always have very thoughtful and intelligent comments. I'm so glad you were here. Accounting Sheep, thank you for showing up. You always have thoughtful comments, and I'm so glad of your love and support for our friend Charlotte the Werewolf. Have I left anybody out? I'm looking. So much commentary. I love all the interaction. John says, great way to end the stream. Great chat. Thanks, anyone. If that's the case, log on then. I'm not sure that... Oh, with LDG Free the Net. I don't go there nearly enough, but I do go on there now and again. whenever I can find the time, I try to sneak a few minutes and talk to him. Dog's fed. Good night. Mark says that hate is poison. Goodbye. Later, Curtis. Everyone's saying goodbye, thank you, and yes. All right, I'm going to end with my typical spiel. Hopefully it makes as much sense as it usually does. It's been said that life is pain, and anyone that tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. I, in fact, am trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that liberty is better than tyranny, that freedom is better than slavery. And hello, Frosty B. Rocks. I want to say hello. I'm at the very end. I'm giving my spiel, but thank you for showing up and leaving the emoji. You're a wonderful human being. Thank you for showing your support. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that you are, in fact, intelligent enough and wise enough to run your own life, and you don't need big corporations or big governments to tell you how to live your life. Charlie Chaplin, greatest speech ever, great avatar pick. That's how I ended the stream, and I'm gratified that so many people love that speech. I love that. I don't even know that I agree with every point that he makes, but it's still just so beautiful. Nearly everything that he says is what I believe, and the rest, I want to believe the rest. So please know, you're probably being told, or people are acting like you're going crazy. I want to assure you, you're not going mad. You're going sane in a world gone mad. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to hopefully most of you on Tuesday. I also intend to be doing some cartoons on Saturday morning, although I may not do more than 2 or 3 episodes. But I wanted to present Scooby-Doo on Saturday morning, and I promise I will try to keep politics out of the talk. But you're welcome to talk about it if you want to, as long as it's all respectful. Spoon!